too long ago.
Hello,
Hey,
everyone, and welcome to another edition
hey, everybody.
of the Mack Brothers
Hey,
podcast.
stop it. We know you just got back, but let me introduce you. So hello, I'm John. Matthew has been absent for a couple weeks. He's not 100% yet, which is why we're still not around each other, but he's just pretty much getting there. He had a spectral uh issue that our good friend Zach Bagels handled. So I'm so grateful for Zach and Matthew. I'm happy to have you back. Matthew, how's your recovery process been?
It's been tough, you know. One day you're living your dream and playing cards with the founding fathers, and then the next day you're confused, bewildered, and it's almost Halloween.
Yeah, it sucks. You
But I
missed a
I
lot.
just want to give a personal thank you to Zach. You know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, yeah, he really
I'm
did.
I'm very lucky.
So how has what have you been doing the last couple weeks you've been off recovering?
So the first week I wasn't even able to stand up. And then the second week I felt really, really good. So I've been typing out an email to Zach this whole time and I just got done. I knew today I would be back on the podcast. And, you know, one thing that I didn't realize happened while I was out of commission was the Phillies made the World Series.
Yeah,
It's
you came
pretty
back at a
crazy.
good time, Matthew.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good. So you know, thanks for Zach. I wouldn't be able to see the Phillies in the World Series if it wasn't for him.
Yeah. So now that you're back, Matthew, it feels right to promote again our songs that we have out. There Goes My Baby and Just a Summer Away, double A side.
I just re-listened to them for the first time in weeks, and
Quality.
they're just as good as we were saying they were before
You
I
know,
had my episode.
I haven't listened to them in a while. They're actually doing pretty well on Spotify. We're doing pretty well on YouTube. Um, so, but we did a string of podcasts and
String,
um songversations. Um, I'm drawing a blank on all of them.
Mike One Park.
Yeah, that which was the newest one that just came out, and
Yep.
that's where I actually listened to them again for the first time in a
Hmm.
while, and he really did such a great job. I suggest everyone that's an artist reach out to I'm drawing a blank. What's his name, Matthew? I forget.
Mike, reach out to Mike One Park. Um, I mean, there's all these newer podcasts that we recently been on have been so there was everyone was so welcoming to us.
Yeah.
I think what really made me feel like an artist for the first time was
Oh,
going on the.
part-time rock stars too. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh,
Part-time
yeah,
rock
yeah, yeah,
stars.
yes,
And
absolutely.
then, oh, I'm sorry, Matthew, one more. The Yo Show,
The O
right?
Show, yeah, man.
Our good friend at the Yo Show, Jeff, is going through something. He just had some surgery done. Um, so we want to over here at the Mack Brothers wish him a speedy recovery. Almost as speedy as your recovery was, but definitely like shout out to him and his family, and he was good, very good to us. So we hope he's doing all right. But back to us because it is our podcast. Our songs
Or at
are
least it was.
delicious.
Or
Whose
at
is it
least
now?
it was. At least it was our podcast. I
Whose
don't
is it?
even know. I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore.
I think you'll get back right back into your position. You'll be
I
comfortable.
have a I have a playoff beard going.
You do.
It was actually I'm not able to move in this feud like state beard, but then the Phillies are also deep in the World Series, so I'm keeping it. for
Do
a little bit.
people grow beards when they die?
No, they're dead.
No, I mean, like, does it keep growing for a little bit after?
No,
Like,
that's a myth. That's just because your skin shrinks, so it shows more of the hair follicle that's underneath your skin.
I didn't even know if it was a myth or I just thought of it just now. To me, that was an original thought.
Well, that was a thought a lot of people had, and it's a myth that was debunked.
um, so Matthew, what did you do
Yo,
over the holiday time?
well,
The
I
Halloween time.
communed with the spirits. No, so you know what I did? Honestly, I listened to this is the most un-Halloween thing because you know what? Listen, I didn't get to talk much during Halloween because I was out of action. But there's a few things I would like to say about Halloween. One, I love Halloween. I think it's really fun. Two, costumes are cool. It's fun to dress up and do those kinds of things. Three, scary movies. Um, please, for the love of God, whatever you guys do, don't, or maybe do if you like to torture yourself, don't watch Halloween Ends. It's the worst movie. It's like it, I can't even understate how terrible it was. You know what? As a matter of fact, just to show how terrible it was, I'm going to read you some of the messages that I sent my brother while I was watching it.
Oh, I'm excited
It's
for
so
this.
bad. Let's see. Halloween. I had to search it in my texts. Halloween ends. Oh, okay. So those are your texts. Oh my God. Where is this? This is like the worst podcast ever because I can't find these texts.
You're warming up, Matthew. You haven't been on in a while.
Listen, all I'm trying to say is it's the worst. It shouldn't have even it should like okay, I found it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. The new Halloween is so bad. I mean terrible. John says funny bad. I said borderline. If we watched that movie together, we would have fucking shit our pants. Is
Yeah,
it worth watching? It so as the movie went on, it went from it's pretty bad to it's Suicide Squad level bad. Which if you've never seen Suicide Squad,
you're
it's that
lucky.
bad. I couldn't even stand it because like my family was still watching the movie and I didn't want to be rude and just start laughing, but I was holding it back. So then there were certain scenes that just were it was like there's like four teenagers and the fucking down on his luck accidentally spoiler alert. Okay, John saw the movie, but
Yeah, if you
fucking
don't want
down on
to,
his luck.
hold on. If you don't want to be spoiled, just skip like 5 minutes because I don't know how much we
The
can.
movie sucks. The movie's terrible. It's
Movie's
not
terrible.
if you
Yeah,
learn what
fuck
the
it. Just
ending was,
watch it.
you're wasted. Just if you learned it, there's four teens. What's this? It's with this trend of like people making shitty, unrealistic teenagers.
I don't
Is it
know.
just me, or has this been on an uptick? Because I can't
I
stand it.
think. All right. So after we hear your thoughts on it, and then my thoughts, and then we talk about it, we should try and think of the most realistic teenagers in a movie
The most realistic
or
teenagers
a
in a movie.
show or a show. But go back to Halloween first.
It's so you have like this legendary character Michael Myers, and what do you do with him? You leave him in a cave the whole
No,
time
you leave them in a
in
sewer.
a sewer, a sewer. It's he's basically not even in the movie. He
Where
doesn't even
do sewers like
wait
that really
wait
exist?
back to these kids. I'm sure
Oh,
they
these
do.
teenagers.
Back to these teenagers. They pull up in like a 1983 fucking convertible Camaro, and they're teasing
Yeah.
this guy who he's down on his luck because he accidentally killed a small child. But the kid was being a dick. He kind of deserved it. Let's be honest. Like they made you sympathize with the accidental child murderer from the beginning.
But wait a minute.
So he's being shitty. These teens pull up and they're being shitty to him. Yeah, wait, John, you had a good observation how this whole thing could have been avoided.
Yeah. So if the little kid that was killed, if his parents took him trick or treating like that, you should a normal 8-year-old instead of going to a Halloween party like two fucking 16-year-olds, the whole thing would have, everything would have been, nothing would have happened. The whole movie wouldn't have existed. The kid would still be alive. Mike Myers Jr. wouldn't have existed. We wouldn't have had to waste our time with this movie. Parents, take your kids trick or treating until they're old
Take them
enough to
trick or
walk around
treating.
by themselves.
Just hang out with them, even if you don't take them trick or treating. Just stay with them. Watch a scary movie and fucking throw Twix at their face. But
yeah,
listen, so that happens. This little kid is being
little
a
kid gets
shithead.
killed.
He gets killed. It's an accident. This guy didn't mean it. He gets off.
That was the only good part of the movie.
That part was great. That
'Cause
first opening scene was good.
Well, it wasn't good, but it existed. And it
If
was,
the whole movie was like that, it would have been way better. Even if it was stupid how he got killed, at least there would have been something going on.
yeah.
So that brings us to these shitty teens who now this guy has a reputation in town, obviously, because he murdered an 8-year-old. And they're like, oh, where'd you get your shorts from? The bad short store. Ah. It was like the worst dialogue.
Wait a minute, Matthew. They were in like marching band. They weren't like football players. They weren't jocks. They were marching band kids that were teasing. This guy is he's like a 22. How old is he in the movie? He's in his 20s.
He's supposed to be in his early 20s or late teens, I guess.
No. He's in his early 20s without a doubt.
Okay.
Positive. And not only that, he works in a junkyard. He works with his forearm should be this big. He should look at these 4 high schoolers and just like spit in their face. The whole thing is just ridiculous. But then you have these 4 geeks, 2 girls, 2 guys, by the way, and not saying 4 teenagers, 2 of one who's disinterested in the whole thing. So she doesn't even count. So
Non-factor.
3 bullies. They're all teenagers. They announce that they're in the string band club. Like that's supposed to be like that's where the tough kids hang. And then they go up to this greasy junkyard guy whose hand's bleeding. Or no, his hand ain't bleeding yet. But they go up to this greasy junkyard worker who should just smack him with a wrench and the whole thing would have ended. And they just bully him because he's a fucking dude.
All they did was make me like this guy. They didn't do anything to make me dislike him.
They made me hate everybody.
Even the Michael Myers bit. Listen, even the Michael Myers. By that point in the movie, I wanted that guy to murder everyone and get away with it. So and then can we just talk about one more thing that has to do with this movie? What's her name? Who's the lead older lady?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jodie Foster. Jamie Lee Curtis. I thought it was Jodie Foster. What the fuck was she talking about the whole movie? What was she saying? The whole movie. What the fuck was she talking about?
I don't know.
The fuck? And why did everybody hate her? She was like tortured by this like supernatural serial killer for her whole life, and the whole town hates her. What? It was the worst. It was the worst movie that I've seen this year. Without a doubt.
I didn't watch. So I didn't watch the one before it. Apparently, she like in that one. Apparently, it's decent, and she like eggs him on to come like out of whatever coma he's in or whatever, so that she can kill him for good. And then people are mad at her because that's when he came back and he was killing people. And I don't know. It was just bad. None of them are good. None of them are good.
The first one's good.
The first one is good because it's kind of the first of its kind. But like it's not like
it was a good movie. I rewatched it like 2 years ago. It's a good movie.
So did I. I thought it was weak.
Weak in what sense? It was a suspense-based thriller.
Yeah, but I wasn't
with a traumatic ending.
The suspense was there was a lot of like I don't know.
Here's my thing. He's supposed to be a creep. That's the whole deal.
Was subpar too.
He's supposed to be a creep, right? You know what I mean? Where were all the shots of him behind? There was like one behind the bush shot. Where were all the behind the bush shots? Where were he's around the corner? I thought I heard something. Where were all those things at? And when they did do them, they were poorly executed. It was shitty. So that's the first movie I watched after I got out of my fugue-like state, and I was very very upset about it.
You
I was
almost
like,
went
this
right
is
back into it.
yeah. I would have. You know what? I would have rather been tortured for another week with that than watch a shitty movie.
I one of my favorite scenes in that shit movie is when they're dancing. Remember when she brings him out? She brings like creepy
Oh,
guy out,
oh,
and
the
they're
creep.
dancing
So
in the
so Michael
club.
Myers, the per to, her the main character's tortured fucking niece, Jodie
Know what
Lee
it,
Foster's tortured niece who survived Michael Myers,
Jamie Lee
takes the takes the
Curtis.
takes the killer, takes the fucking sappy killer, pacifist killer piece of shit out on the town. And it just so happens that the depressed mother of the kid he kills is in this discotheque.
this this young adult bar, this Halloween party. She's
Just it's like she's like surprised to see me here. Like what?
she she's out drinking on Halloween 3 years after her stupid kid was kicked to death. And like, go home. What are you doing?
Listen, let's be real. That kid had no future anyway. The way he was behaving.
Yeah, no, well, it's
I mean,
stupid
come on.
parents.
And they should have
Let's go to a
reinforced that.
Halloween party. What is
Listen,
this? The fucking
John,
90s?
John, you ever lean against a railing? What kind of railings do they have in there? Like you walk down the steps and you lean too hard and you just fucking fall
Well,
over?
too, like how hard was he? So the door was kicked into him, right? So wouldn't he have fell down into the thing and just fucking hit it?
So stupid. What about the ending scene? It's supposed to be like a everyone came together and
Oh,
carried him and
this is
and they
my
burned it.
thing.
What the
Does,
fuck?
does Mike Myers have powers? What is his deal?
He's supposed to have powers.
Do we know? But do we
Listen,
know for
so there
sure?
wasn't supposed to, this is why he has powers, because there wasn't supposed to be a sequel. So to make the ending spooky in the first one, he's killed,
And
and
then you
right
don't
when
see the
they
body, right?
and then they're ready to collect the body and it disappeared. And that was supposed to be the ending. Right now, in the context of a single story, that's okay.
That's
Cool.
creepy.
Ambiguous, mysterious, creepy ending.
Yeah.
But then they had to make a sequel. So now he has magical powers.
No, but this is was it him or Jason that was in space?
I think it may have been Jason, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was
I
both.
no, I think I for some reason I think it was like wasn't it Halloween 2 point or like Y2O or something like that? And that
Halloween
he was in space.
in space. I
Pretty
just
sure that was
googled
Mike
Halloween.
Myers.
No, it's Jason X.
Oh, Jason X. Okay.
Jason
Jason
Voorhees
versus Freddy.
prior.
Remember Jason versus Freddy? I didn't think that was horrendous.
Listen, me and my 7-year-old state, I thought that movie was awesome. Or however
Yeah, I
old
guess
I
I haven't seen it
was.
in a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably watch it as an adult and feel like I just ate a pile of shit.
All right, Matthew. Most realistic teenagers in a movie
Oh my god. In a movie, or can we do in like a like
or a TV
on
show
the most realistic
in
teenager that
media.
off the top of my head, I have two shows that I think do teenagers well for the amount of exposure they're in, the amount of exposure that they have in the show.
You might take mine. I think.
I have two of them. Breaking Bad. I feel like that's a very realistic depiction of someone that had Walter's son's problems and like the teenagers that were in that he taught in high school. I felt like that was like they were just normal kids. Like there wasn't anything that was special or crazy about them. You know why? Because kids aren't special, and generally they're not that crazy. They're fucking boring and they're weird. So I feel like they did it pretty well. And I feel like towards the later seasons, Mad Men did it pretty well. I was going to say The Americans, but I haven't finished that show yet. Um, Sopranos did a really good job too. I'm more into TV than movies, as you could see.
So I agree with all the TV ones you said. Movie, and it might be because my teenage years were kind of nuts.
Scream. My name is Scream.
No, super bad.
That's a good pick.
I watched that movie when it came out, or I think I was actually 13 when it
Judd
came.
Apatow in general.
He does teenagers well, but that was great. And then what's that? Mean Girls was Mean Girls? I don't remember
Well,
actually.
that's an extremely like stylized, fictionalized version of teenagers.
I
That's like
might
not
be
a
I might be
realistic
thinking of
depiction.
a different movie because Mean Girls. It's not the Lindsay Lohan movie.
No, it's the movie where they're in high school and their thoughts or something like that. That's like the whole
Yeah,
concept.
that's not
And
what I'm talking
they're
about.
assholes.
That's not what I'm talking about. I forget what it's called.
You're thinking of Smallville.
Yeah, you know what? Teenagers, Matthew is Euphoria.
Listen, can we take a minute to talk about Euphoria?
I never seen it.
I watched the first 4 episodes. Let me say something here. The whole show feels like the intro to a show. Like the whole show is shot like you're still watching the intro of the show. I watched 4 episodes. I don't know what the show's about. I have no idea. It's a
So
complete. Listen, the show is a really nice dressed up fucking piece of shit. The show's terrible. It sucks. Like if you want to see Zendaya pretend to be depressed and get high, like it's the show for you. Like you're gonna love it. And if you want to see like fake teenagers that are clearly in their mid 20s dressed in like slutty outfits, it's like your show. But that's all the show is. There's like no there's like a juicy reveal at the end of the episode. Otherwise, there's no plot. They're just driving around. They're riding around on their bikes, and like one bad thing happens, and then Zendaya's got to lie to her mom about getting high, and then she gets really high, and
now isn't it like
you
heroin?
kind of just hope everybody dies. I mean, you don't have any hope for anybody. It's like the most hopeless show. It's a hopeless show. They're all hopeless.
So I watched like maybe 20 minutes of one episode with Tiffany. Oh, sorry. So
Did
I
you
watched.
also feel hopeless?
No, I actually knew people that had drug issues that were teenagers.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it and I'm looking at her and I'm looking at the lady I guess the drug dealer lady she's talking to. That's like this older woman that's just very calm and like, this is what we did. And then Zendaya's going, and I'm just like, what is this?
It's so stupid.
What the fuck is this?
And so it's like Drake is like a producer and Zendaya's in it. People,
Of course,
you
he's
know,
a producer.
it's like
That's another Degrassi, which admittedly, when I was a boy, I loved. Me and my friend Steve, when we still lived in Southwest, would talk on the phone for hours and watch Degrassi together when we were boys, with our little lads. And even then, we would watch it and we would go, "Are they fucking kidding me?" And we were younger than what they were
kids.
saying. We were
As
grade
kids.
schoolers.
You were
These were high
prepubescent.
schoolers.
You were prepubescent. You were
Yeah.
children.
And we're watching it and we're going, "Are they fucking nuts?" We would, and that's what I think. Like when I'm watching Halloween and these 20-somethings are getting bullied by high schoolers, and I think to myself, if we just like could transplant our family and everyone that's in our family to that town, we would run the whole town.
Listen, you could put like a great tortoise in that town, and it would spook the shit out of those teens. They'd be like, "Bro, it looks threatening." Like they're like they were. I don't know. Like I feel like there's just one really really stressed out like 34-year-old balding writer that has to write all these movies, and he has no time because he's got to do thousands of them. So he just does them as fast as he can, and they just go with it. They don't even look at this. No one even looks at the script. They just read what's in front of them. It's like right beyond the camera, and they read their lines in the moment. Like that's how I feel some of these things are put together. Like it's so bad.
It's so wild, isn't it? It's
Especially
like,
show things in movies that are supposed to be quality that have like you know how much money gets spent. Like let's look at the budget for Halloween Ends. Let's see, budget for no, not Halloween costumes. the budget for Halloween Ends was $33 million. So they spent $33 million on that.
Where did they spend that? You could have filmed that on an iPhone, and it would have had
I've
the same
been way
effect.
more entertained by iPhone videos than that movie.
It's really bad.
I just thought what they were going for. But besides that, there's a lot of shitty things going on. Listen, the Titans, man, we're in the World Series right now, and the
Eagles are
game is
7-0.
Eagles are 7-0, and my other team, the Sixers, they need to fire Doc Rivers. Like
They're
right now,
playing as at the time of our recording. Let me see what the score is. They do need to fire Doc Rivers.
they're playing right now
Yeah.
at 6.
Yeah, they started at 6. It's 12-12. They're playing the Wizards. It should be a win, knock on wood. But they should fire Doc Rivers. I don't care if they go on a 20 to I don't think they go on a 20-game winning streak. The regular season don't mean anything anymore. I'm a to quote the rights to Ricky Sanchez, Mike Levin, I'm a playoff motherfucker. I'm not a regular season bitch anymore. I'm a playoff motherfucker. So I don't care what they do in the regular season. As long as Maxey looks good and Joel Embiid and Harden are healthy going into the playoffs, and Doc Rivers shouldn't be the coach because he's going to make terrible decisions. He's going to play Montrezl Harrell instead of B-Ball Paul. He's going to stop. He doesn't have an offense at all. It's just he hurts my feelings. The defense is so slow. You should have Melton starting and Harris should be on the bench. Shout out to Fired Up as well. They just upgraded actually. They're new. They have a new logo. They have a whole new thing going on for them. So shout out to them as well.
He's called an overall.
I think after the Phillies run's done. Oh, the Beatles.
So here's the thing, guys. The Beatles just came out with, as you can see above John's head, Revolver, the Super Deluxe.
Yeah, right here.
So the Revolver Super Deluxe came out. That's basically George Martin's son redoes the album, and it is just exquisite. I didn't realize how much I like John Lennon before Sgt. Pepper's.
Yeah.
I think like John Lennon at his best is like Rubber Soul and Revolver. That's like John Lennon at his best to me in the Beatles.
Yeah, I agree.
Now that I really think about it, like some of the stuff he was doing, some of the stuff they were doing back then was just so good. The songs are just really good songs. That's what it comes down to.
I mean, I think you put it best I think we always knew this about Taxman, but when you were like, Taxman is just what every single garage band has been trying to do
All
since
of them.
1966.
Like you could go through Revolver and go, all right, this is Interpol's career. This is the Strokes' career.
Yeah.
This is like you could go through, like play Eleanor Rigby and go, all right, this is any band that started as a band, started doing weird songs. Like any of them. Just pick one. You don't have to say. You could say Radiohead, the Mack Brothers. It's crazy. It's like, it's so awesome. And then Tomorrow Never Knows is so good. Rain
Tomorrow
is so
Never Knows.
awesome.
So I haven't listened to a lot of these songs in a while. Like obviously, like Andrew Bird can sing. The guitar in that is the guitar in that, Matthew. That's half of Dr. Dog's career.
Yes, it is.
I mean, and if anyone does it incredible, it's Dr. Dog. But I mean, how do you not listen to that song and go, Jesus Christ? And the new mixes are great because, like, just for example, like the strings in Eleanor Rigby are more pronounced. They're a little thicker than I guess the old one. There's a little bit more bass to them. That's beautiful. Here, There, and Everywhere. I forgot how much I love that song.
Great song.
I'll tell you, the only song I don't care about on the record, I mean, I guess we're just going to talk about the songs themselves because the mixes, they're great. But the songs are always great.
It's what is it like? Love You Too or something?
Yeah, I Love You Too. I just.
Yeah. I don't listen to that.
I know why it's important, but I just couldn't get into it. I can't.
There's a lot of things like that.
Yellow Submarine. The mix is a lot different.
Yeah, it is. They have the mono mixes on there too, and
I haven't listened to them yet.
I think that's something you have to think about when you listen to an album like Revolver is like how important is how important is audio fidelity to you? Because it's an album from 1966, so you know most new music is going to sound it's going to sound better recorded. But
Mm.
I think what people get wrong all the time, it's like listening to music for just how many notes are in the song. They're good songs. Like the quality of the song they are is what's important.
Mm.
Like when you listen to, I think it's with us too. Like I used to think this all the time. Um, we would put songs out and they would be lower. Like the volume level would be a little bit lower than like 2 dBs, 3 dBs lower than like say the Strokes put out a new album, or like any other like a rapper put out a song or something, and the way their songs are mastered at the like what volume they're mastered at. Um, and then if you turn off auto normalization on the volume settings in Spotify, you can hear there's so many different bands that they put their songs out at different volume levels. And like U2 is the best example. Like if you listen to like a Stroke song and you listen to a U2 song, you got to turn it all the way back up,
Mm-hmm.
all the way back up.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like you just have to be able to appreciate the song. And Gilles Martin's mixes. I mean, I think they bring the songs out, you know, very well, and you can hear things like you never heard before. But those mono mixes, man, they just have a feel to them. Like feel is so important, and this album has like it's probably their best feeling album.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's like the first modern garage rock album.
Has anybody there I don't think there's a band or even is there even humans, maybe ones that we don't know, but like famous ones that have went through such a progression from the Beatles from 63 to 66?
What in like a short period of time?
Like that short period of time. I mean, they sound like a completely there's such a more I mean, the songs are just so much more. They're just so
I'm
much
sure there's
more.
other good examples, but they're definitely the most prominent, and
I
I feel like
can't
they're definitely the most drastic.
like I mean there's like the Arctic Monkeys took a drastic change, but it took longer and it's not as good as what the Beatles did. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's bands that have done it. The Strokes kind of changed their sound a little bit for that one album. For Come Down Machine, for some of the stuff. But you can't really count U2, maybe Joshua Tree to Achtung Baby.
U2's the best example, I think, of bands that did things that were. Well, I feel like you have to lump in because there is still some Beatles stuff that I'm like I'm not going to listen to that much. Um, Even when they started experimenting, um, like U2 is probably the best example of experimentation, at least, and as far as like how deep they went with it. I just don't feel like they put as much of theirs out. I feel like they experimented probably more. Like if you listen to, um, you go from say '85 and you take a song off the Unforgettable Fire, like Wire or like Sunday Bloody Sunday. Basically, 10 years later, they're making psychedelic hippie music with Brian Eno in like a basement in Germany. It's pretty weird. It's a pretty weird difference. But the Beatles did it in like 7 years.
The Beatles did it in 3 years.
Well,
And
like they got
with
together. They got together in like 1960.
well, I'm talking about from their first record till their
Oh,
third
to a
record.
Revolver.
Yeah. Or
Or yeah,
four.
Revolver's like their sixth or seventh record.
Well, whatever. You know what I mean? 3 years. A lot of it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
just live, them live in the studio, bobbing their heads, playing their songs.
Well, this album is mostly live, I think, too. Like, there's not many overdubs on this album. They went crazy with tracking during what's that next album, like, Sergeant Pepper's, which I still think this is a better album than Sergeant Pepper's. It's very cohesive.
I think it's better than Sergeant Pepper's, but my favorites. Oh, you know what though? Now I think my favorite that I got older, I think it's Abbey Road.
Abbey Road's my favorite from them.
But the White Album for the longest time was my favorite
I
because
feel
it
like
was
Abbey
so
Road was just the culmination of
crazy.
of everything they did.
Yeah.
It definitely was.
But like you listen to I Want to Hold Your Hand and then listen to Tomorrow Never Knows. That's
Yeah,
3 years.
yeah, it's crazy.
It's fucking doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense, but it makes sense to us because we have a lot of stuff to work on. I mean, to work from, to learn
Yeah,
from. Like they had like Pet Sounds, and they had the blues, and you know, Buddy Holly.
and fucking around. Well, everyone underestimates the importance of fucking around.
Oh, and Elvis.
Everything good that's ever happened in music was almost certainly derived from people just fucking around,
Yeah.
doing nothing, just hanging out with a bunch of instruments, or just in like by themselves playing around with something that they might not supposed to be playing around with, or doing something in a specific way that they're not really supposed to do it. And then that's how the best music always comes about.
Mhm.
The best music's always just happens. It's never like, I'm sure there's great songs people wrote that sat down and wrote, but I feel like those spontaneous songs always end up being better. They always
They
end up
feel
feeling
better at
better.
least. Well, you know who I could be wrong, but you know who I think is the opposite is Jack White.
Tom Jones. Oh yeah, Jack White. I was going to say him too.
Tom Jones.
No, Jack White, John.
Jack White, I think this is what Cody said. He was like, I always put a time limit on myself, and I always have a set subject that I'm writing about because that's how creativity works for me. Is like I have to know what's going on, and I have to give myself a certain amount of time, or it won't happen. And
Jack
then,
White's somebody I like, but I also don't like him.
yeah, I agree with that.
I don't have any reason to not like Jack White, but I don't like him for some reason.
Well, I think he's overrated. I mean, he's a great guitar player. He's an interesting singer. Some of his songs are excellent, but like, I mean, he shouldn't be, at least in my opinion, he shouldn't be standing with Jimmy Page and The Edge in that show.
Oh, the It Might Get Loud thing.
Yeah, I mean, he made one riff that
Yeah,
people will know, and it's not even my favorite song by them.
you know what though? I mean, they could have picked a lot of other people that I like more than Jack White as guitar players, but I guess it's subjective. Music is subjective, and so is art.
Who's Jared Followhill, or is that the bassist?
That's the bass player. You're thinking of Matthew Followell.
Matthew Followhill. He has better solos than Jack White. He has more interesting sounds than Jack White, at least in my opinion. There is obviously some great Jack White songs, but he has a whole career based off of Seven Nation Army.
So I agree. And with that being said, I think our time is coming to an end tonight. It was lovely to return and be back. Hopefully next week it will be in person. Go listen to There Goes My Baby, Just a Summer Away. Go check out all of the 4 podcasts we listened to earlier in the show. John, what do you have for the people?
There Goes My Baby, Just a Summer Away. I'm happy to have you back, Matthew.
I'm back. I'm better than ever, baby, and I'm raring and I'm kind of ready to go.
All right, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.